I'm literally just gonna call this like the raw and uncut session. So I'm not gonna make any cuts at all. I'm just gonna get straight to it. But yeah, started the competition. Not started the competition, sorry. Started the peak, and the peak was actually moving quite well. I feel like usually when you go into a peak, week 1 and 2 will always be the greatest, in my opinion. Week 3 and 4, it's like, I feel like they do go quite well, but there is a lot of fatigue. But it is interesting when you are quite successful in week 3 and week 4. Like, the sort of pace and the way weight moves doesn't really change. I'll always find that quite intriguing. Especially for different lifters. Like, I feel like everybody has a different way in which they perform. Some people can't perform at all during training, like in their blocks, and then perform incredibly well during comp, and then some people just are the complete opposite. But who am I? I'm not an expert. So on that week 4, I feel like that was probably one of the craziest weeks ever, in my opinion. So I started off the week, I hate talking past tense, but literally we started off the week. I went on a little work trip. It wasn't anywhere far, like literally 60 minutes away from my house. But when we went on the work trip, obviously that affected my externals to an extent. I was staying in a hotel for one, so I wasn't in my bed. Eating different food, and it's very difficult to sort of stay, how should I say it, stay pumped for the sessions that are about to come with different externals, and considering the fact that we were in a complete different gym that I'd never been to. Here's me thinking that pure gyms were just like all pure gyms were better than my pure gym. That's not the case. There are a lot of crap pure gyms, if I'm being very honest with you. But like, what more do you expect from a commercial gym? Literally, that's it. What more do you expect? But yeah, started off the week quite not scared. I was quite confident. This is my first time going into a proper peak. I did a peak before that. Okay, considering the fact basically I was supposed to be competing on April the 6th, April the 7th, and originally it was supposed to be April the 21st, but for some reason they pushed the dates back, and that affected everything. Like, all of the plans I had with my coach when we were talking sort of just went out the window, but you can't do much about it. Just perform, and that's all we had to do. Especially going into it, it was literally my first comp. So there was no type of pressure like, oh, now we've messed up your total by X amount, because who knows what could happen to your total on a first comp. Like, everything that I've been doing in training essentially might not be able to be replicated onto the platform. I'm rambling. So yeah, week 1, started off week 1 in a complete different gym. I think we started off usually our normal day is on Monday we'll do some squats and bench, followed by accessories, minimal because it's week 4, like no type of like incredible intensity, but enough to sort of benefit the muscle or area in my body that I'm trying to work on. And then Tuesday we usually do some deadlifts, usually cluster deadlifts. However, had to move that to Wednesday actually, because unfortunately Tuesday I got a gym pass, but stupidly enough, yeah, I don't want to explain what happened, but all you need to know is it was the dumbest thing I could possibly do. And yeah, I don't want to explain, I don't want to go any further, but went into Wednesday, came back from my work trip, and I was thinking, okay, cool, I'm cool, probably still probably still strong, probably still good. I went into that session gassed, and it was actually so crazy because I was doing some of my deadlifts and it was just on and off, and despite that I still stayed quite positive, which props to me for that, honestly. But I think that positivity was just like me lying to myself. And then I moved on to Thursday, which was my last session that included accessories, because obviously my last day would be a SPD day. Moved on to Thursday, did some 2 count pulls bench press. Like I said, That's not a huge deal. Nothing fatiguing. So we can go moderately heavy. Usually touch around like 100, 105 area. Like that's not a big bench compared to my PB, of course, but you'll never max out on a day like that because that's a secondary bench day. And then we moved on to the Saturday, which was the SBD. Here's where things went out of the window. Well, not where things went out of the window, but definitely where I believe there was a lesson to be learned by failing. So the story is I failed. So head into the session, put my singlet on for the first time. Actually, the first time ever. Never worn a singlet before, and it was one of the weirdest experiences. It was quite normal because you were in a powerlifting gym, so nobody really had a weird gaze at you, but I don't know, it just felt strange. But yeah, went into the gym, started off with squats, and I worked up to, I think it was like 195, 192.5, and I've done this weight plenty of times, and I was thinking, okay, cool, this is gonna move well. Put it on the rack. For some reason, my unrack spanned me off completely. So when I got into the hole, sort of like my position and the way I usually behave when I'm squatting was completely different, and I sort of messed up my rhythm. Let's just say that. And I tried to stay locked in. Like usually when stuff like that happens, I try to stay locked in and I tried to focus, but it wasn't working at all. So basically what I had to do was I did it again. I think it was a good take to do it again, especially because I would be moving up to 210 kilos. That day I was supposed to be doing 215 and I even held back and did 210. It's because I was moving up to 210 kilos because it was such a big jump. Like it was like 17.5 kilos. So it was like you want to feel confident going into that squat. Not confident that you can necessarily, not during that moment, not confident that I can make the squat, but confident that I'll be able to perform to my standard, to my normal standard, because it is a comp squat after all. Tried not to let that get to me, and then we moved on to bench. And I think with bench we worked up to 117.5, moved moderately well. I think there was a few things off about my bench that day. One of the things was my positioning. Like I was really not confident with where I should place the bar and where my sort of traps and back should lie on the sort of mat. Especially because I'm not used to being on a Lico mat. I'm used to being on a Pure Gym mat. So I guess I sort of put myself under the impression that there was no sort of space to mess up or make any errors, which is where I messed up completely, can't lie. So put on 117.5, flew, not confidently, not to my standard. Like I said, flew but not to my standard. Then we put on 120, try to be moderate. 120 or 122.5, try to be moderate, because I'm not like a 105 or heavy mass lifter, so I can't make these big jumps. I used to do that quite a lot, but then I did realize it is quite dangerous. So put on 125, got a spot of course, and then went to bench and didn't move it. Like, don't know what happened, didn't move it. And then I tried to even stay positive going into deadlifts, and I was like, come on, deadlifts is my lift. If anything, I should be able to recover with my deadlifts. That day I was supposed to be working up to 260, and I got to my last working set of 247.5 and I struggled to pull it. At that point I was thinking 250 is a good call because I barely made the 247.5, so maybe we can just squeeze 250. since I've done it so many times, considering the fact that I've never done 260. So we put on 250, tried to pull the slack, tried to lift, and the bar stayed on the ground. Let's just say that. The weight stayed on the ground. And honestly, I laughed to myself in that moment. I was like a bit annoyed, but then I laughed to myself for a bit, because I was like, Omarion, there's no way that you thought that you would be able to do all of that during the week, miss some sessions, delay some sessions, and then go into the gym and perform. There's no way. There's no way that you tried to not manage externals and then perform to the best of your ability. In which, to the point I was like, I did mess up. You know, I probably should have went into that session actually being realistic with myself. Sometimes it's good to be confident, but at the end of the day, be realistic. That's sort of where my lesson came in, that learn from the failure, essentially. I feel like one of the things that it specifically taught me was that we are human. Like, I'm a human, literally. During this block or blocks or bunch of blocks since I've started powerlifting, I don't think I've ever taken that big of a fail in a squat, in a bench, or in a deadlift. Most I've done is executed the first rep and not being able to do the second. But not being able to execute the first is a rare occurrence to me ever since I started powerlifting, because I was sort of on a peak, I guess you could say. So especially when you start powerlifting, you are it's hidden strength, and you start unlocking that hidden strength that you've sort of been sealing away, and as a result you're just going from level 1 to level 2 to level 3 to level 4 and beyond, right? But eventually you get to level 10, and you can't have that same attitude at level 10 that it will just fly. You need to understand that you're going to have to work for it, and you're going to have to do things outside of your lifting as well, like eating, like sleeping, managing externals, as you would say, in order to maintain that sort of rodeo that you're on currently, in which I forgot, or I somewhat became too boastful and became too cocky, because I was like, yeah, calm, as soon as we go into the gym, I'm him. That's what I was thinking. I was like, I'm him. Let's load 125 kilos. Let's load everything, bro. Like, let's just do it. And I'll just hit the weight. And in reality, I did not hit the weight. And it was quite funny. That's literally not the way it works. You may be him, but don't be an idiot. Don't for once get cocky or too confident, because you'll find yourself in a really, really bad and terrible place. And nobody wants to do that. Yeah, that's some of the lessons that I sort of learnt going out of that session. Yeah, because it will get boring, it will get tiring, it will get really annoying, especially how it got annoying for me. But the willingness to come back the week after and still keep pushing and still keep doing it is what makes you the strong person. And I think that's all you need. You don't, as much as you need the muscles, as much as you need the heavy weights, the mental plays so much of an impact. But I don't know. That's all I had to ramble about. Yeah, I am done. I need to sleep. Probably get a mail in. But yeah, this is the raw and uncut talk of Omarion. We'll see you later, man.